How, aside from making great products, how do you get people excited about Tesla? There's a lot of people I know and that I talk to who are just intrigued and interested and excited about Tesla as a company.
The thing I really focus on at Tesla is like really put all of our money into and attention into trying to make the product as compelling as possible. So, because I think that really the way to sell any product is through word of mouth. The key is like to have a product that people will love. And that's basically how our sales have grown. Like we don't spend any money on advertising or endorsements.
Generally, for a company, when it's very small, productivity grows quickly because of specialization of labor. Productivity per person declines due to communication issues as the company gets bigger. And as you have more and more layers through which communication has to flow, that necessarily imparts errors. Like every time information flows from one person to another, even with the best of intentions, you have information loss.
There's a friend of mine who's got a great saying about creating a company, which is trying to build a company and have it succeed is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. Well, so, I mean, what tends to happen is it's sort of quite exciting for the first several months of starting a company, and then reality sets in, things don't go as well as planned, customers aren't signing up, the technology or the product isn't working as well as you thought, and then that can sometimes be compounded by a recession, and it can be very, very painful for several years. So I would advise people to have a high pain tolerance. If you're a new company, I mean, unless it's like some new industry or new market if it's an untapped market, or if you're entering anything where there's an existing marketplace against large entrenched competitors, then your product or service needs to be much better than theirs. It can't be a little bit better, because then you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer and they say, why would you buy it as a consumer? You're always going to buy the trusted brand unless there's a big difference.
You said that the most common hiring mistake was weighing too much on someone's talent and not on someone's personality. And then I think it matters whether someone has a good heart.
It does, yes, absolutely. The hiring mistakes that I've made in the past, looking too much at their intellectual capability alone and not on how they affect those around them. When you're building something new, there's going to be mistakes, and it's important to recognize those mistakes, acknowledge them, and take corrective action. And the success of a company is very much more about how quick are you to fix the mistakes, not will you make mistakes.
Or admit the mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if you see the difference between a startup that is successful and one that is not, and it's because the successful one, they both made mistakes, but the successful one recognized the mistakes, fixed them very quickly, and the unsuccessful one tries to deny that the mistakes exist.
What sort of things do you think about in terms of motivating a workforce like in the Department of the Air Force that will help them become more radically innovative? What sort of things do you look for in people or in processes that make the workforce better?
The massive thing that can be done is to make sure your incentive structure is such that innovation is rewarded and lack of innovation is punished. So there's got to be a carrot and a stick. So if somebody is innovating, making good progress, then they should be promoted sooner.
You've got great technology, you want to go all the way to the end consumer. Don't tell it to some bonehead legacy company that doesn't understand how to use it.
It's do whatever you can to foster the growth of young small companies, because a young small company is just it's like a little tadpole. It's got it's very fragile. Odds of success are very low. So anything that can be done to allow it to grow a little bit, to sustain itself in the face of much larger companies, is extremely important. So that would be my advice to, say, governments. Do whatever you can to shield the smaller companies and allow them to grow and be competitive, because the big companies will try to stamp them out. Manufacturing is building the machine that makes the machine. And if you think the machine is important, well, building the machine that makes the machine is also extremely important. And manufacturing is harder than the original product. Like, for example, Tesla can make one of a car very easily, but to make thousands of a car with high reliability and quality and where the cost is affordable is extremely hard. I'd say maybe 10 times harder than just making one prototype, but maybe more. So I really think a lot more smart people should be getting into manufacturing. I do think that, in terms of creating a company, what Edison said, which was like it's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration, is true. So a lot of it in creating a company is execution. Like you start off with an idea, and that idea is mostly wrong. And then you adapt that idea and keep refining it, and you listen to criticism. Some criticism you discard, try to discard the wrong criticism, try to listen to the correct criticism, and then engage in sort of a recursive self-improvement and constantly refining it and making it better. And you have to work super hard, and that's very important.